Alright, moving around, zooming, selecting cells, and doing all kinds of interesting stuff in Excel. How do you do all those things? Well, I'm going to show you. And if you're a little bit more advanced, I suggest that you don't skip over this particular video because you might learn some neat tricks. At least I know I did the first time that I saw something like this on the internet. Okay, let's start by talking about the zoom level. If you recall, before I said that Excel has different zoom levels. I mean, you can be real far from your numbers. They look really small and you can see a whole lot more of the worksheet. Or you can come in really close to these numbers and simply see fewer data but in clearer, larger numbers. Now, zooming has no effect on the font size of your cell. It's still going to be the same font and the same size. For example, let's select this one. Look at what it says up here. It's a Calibri size 11. Now, if I zoom in really close, this is going to look huge, but the letter size is still 11. That means that when you print this out, it's not going to look this huge. It's simply going to have the same font size that you placed there originally. That's what zooming in and out does. Now, how do you zoom in and zoom out? Well, a couple of chapters ago, I said we can use this little selector here. This is a zoom selector. And we simply move it back and forth, and we get closer and further away from our worksheet. You can also click these little icons here, plus and the minus, to move the little selector here left and right. For example, if you want to do it in increments and don't want to really play around with a slider. That's one way. Now the other way is you can go down here to the bottom right corner and click on this number that's right here at the very end. And you're going to get this pop-up window. Just select your favorite zoom level, 200, 100, whatever it is. Or if you want a particular amount, for example, I often find that 85% is a good level, but it's not in this list, so you just type it here, 85, and I get an 85% zoom level. Now you can also fit your numbers. For example, if I want to see only these 4 numbers, I select them and I click this little number here and I say fit selection. And there we go. Excel automatically adjusted my zoom so that I can see these 4 numbers. Now if I want to select a whole lot more and do the same thing, the zoom level is going to adjust accordingly. So that's how you handle zoom using these little buttons. You can find the same commands up here in the view menu, right here where it says zoom. See, that brings up the same window. This takes you back to 100%, and zoom to selection does exactly the same as we did before. Like that. And since I'm really close here and I'm going to want to back out, I click 100%, and there we go. Now there's a mouse shortcut for this. That's also good to know. If you want to zoom in, what you do is you hold down the control key on your keyboard, keep holding it down, and rotate the center wheel of your mouse. And as you rotate, it's going to zoom in, and if you rotate the opposite direction, it's going to zoom out. That's how you zoom in and out with your mouse. And in certain cases, it's a lot faster than going up here and playing with the menus or playing with this other menu down here. Now, where you've got your cursor here is where Excel is going to zoom. So if I place my cursor here on item 16 and then hold down control and spin the wheel, I'm going to get more or less zoomed into the area of item 16. Now what happens is I've got to keep tracking this item 16 so I don't get lost in my zoom, but that's more or less the idea. Hold down control and spin the wheel to zoom in and zoom out. Alright, moving around in the spreadsheet. Now, moving around with the keys and the mouse, this is really important to know these shortcuts because they can save you a whole lot of time when you're working in Excel. Now, how to move around? Well, you just use the arrow keys, up, down, left, and right. That's a really simple way to move around. You can also use these little scroll bars down here to move up and down along your spreadsheet. Now notice one thing. If I take this scroll bar and move down, the little green cursor doesn't move. I mean, it doesn't follow me right here. See? The cursor is currently on E6. Now if I start moving down and go down here to the very end and then look up here, the cursor is still going to be on E6. And in fact, if I touch one of the arrow keys, it's going to go back to E6 and move down one to E7. So that's an important thing to consider. When you play around with these scroll bars, you're not really moving your cursor, you're just moving your screen. Now, most people know these shortcuts with the arrow keys up, down, left and right, but very few know that you can also use the home key and the end key. And those do what they do in any other application. Home takes you to the beginning and end takes you to the end. So if I'm right here, say for example in G9, and I press the home key, I'm going to get taken to A8. Now let's try that again. If I'm, for example, in F14 and I press home, I'm going to get taken to the start of that row, which is A14. The end key works a little bit different from the home key. Okay, now the home key is pretty easy. I simply press it and it goes to the start of the row. But when I press end, it doesn't respond immediately, and I want you to pay real close attention down here to the lower left corner, to the status bar. Watch what happens when I press end. It says end mode. Now what does that mean? If you look at the screen, my cursor hasn't moved yet. It's still on C14. What Excel is waiting for is for me to tell it which direction it should look for the last cell in. Remember that we have rows and we have columns. So what Excel is saying is, please tell me whether you want to go to the end of the row or to the end of the column. If I want to go to the end of the row, what I do is I press the right arrow. And when I press the right arrow, I get taken to the end of the row. Now if I wanted to go to the end of the column, when I'm in end mode, what I do is I press the down arrow. And I'm taken to the last value in that particular column. Let's try that again. For example, let's go to this one right here, to E8. I'm going to press end in order to enter end mode, and I'm going to press down, and I'm taken to the last value in that column. So that's how the end key works in Excel. There's other things that you can also do with the end key that make it work a whole lot like the home key. For example, when you're in end mode, if in this case I press up, the cursor is going to jump to the start of the column, like that. You see it jumps to H3. If I go back to end mode and press down, jumps to the end of the column. Now if I press end to enter end mode and I press left, it's going to jump to the start of the row. A lot like home, except home is going to take me to the absolute first column inside my row. Not exactly to this one, which is the first filled column. So that's how end also works. Okay, page up and page down, they do pretty much the same as in any other program. They simply jump a page back and a page forth in the spreadsheet. And here's a neat little trick that you can use. If you want to go to the very end of the spreadsheet, you see the last column in the spreadsheet, which is something that I did on the chapter on columns and rows. What you do is you hold down Control and you press the right arrow. Now that's going to jump to the next empty cell. In this case, this one that says discontinued. Now if I do that again and jump to the next empty cell, the last empty cell is going to be the last cell on the worksheet. So I get taken to XFD. And what I do is I press home, go back to the first one. So once again, hold down Control and press the right arrow key. You're going to get taken to the next cell, which is empty. See, right there. Now I can jump, holding down Control and pressing left and right, I can jump to the next empty cell. And if here I press right again, I go to the end of the worksheet. If I press left, I go back to column L. Same thing with the up and down. Now I select Control, down, and I'm taken to the last value in that column, which would be this one. Now if I do the same thing on this column and press up, I'm taken to the next empty cell. Just like that. And if I'm at the end of the sheet, and once again I hold down Control and press down, I get taken to the end of the worksheet, which would be row 1,048,576. And if I want to go to the start, once again Control and up, and there I am at the start of the worksheet. So remember these shortcut keys, home, end mode, and of course these last ones that we saw. Hold down Control and use the arrow keys, and you're going to jump from one empty cell to the other one. That last one I told you about, the one with Control, very few people know that tip. I have no idea why it's known so little in the Excel community, but it's really useful to move along in different sheets. So remember that one, press Control and use the arrow keys to jump from one area of your worksheet to the other one. You're going to save a lot of time with it. Thanks for watching this video tutorial. If you liked the video, be sure to subscribe to our channel and to visit our website, cubicleoverlords.com, for more instructional videos like this one.